next year, which is made in Derry. In actual fact, Riot Games, who produce League of Legends, have just bought Hytale. So there's a massive influx of money in Northern Ireland at the minute throughout the games industry. And that's kind of come about in the last 5 years with NI Screen. So NI Screen, or Northern Ireland Screen as they're known as, they use a lot of money to promote and produce TV and films in Northern Ireland. So most notably, they've done Game of Thrones. Okay, so that's their biggest TV show to date. But what they're actually doing now is they're moving across the games, and they're starting to fund a lot of game development here in Northern Ireland. Recently, they've just opened the Pixel Mill, which is this incubation center in Belfast where you can start up a game studio with little money, and they'll give you mentorship, they'll give you equipment, they'll give you marketing costs, and they'll also give you like office space for a relatively low price, so you can start a business in games. And they're helping to develop the game design course here at Ulster University as well. So there's many different types of careers that you can have in the games industry, and they kind of cater for all ranges of ability as well. So if we kind of look at this graph, we kind of have more creative careers and more technical careers in the games industry. So the more technical side would be maybe programming, QA testing. On the creative side would be like concept art, 3D artist, and then in the middle would be designer. So you would have to have both technical and creative skills to kind of work in there. And the kind of careers that you can have, quite a few. So you can be a designer, programmer, QA, sound engineer, UI, UX designer, 3D artist. You can go into HR, you could be a writer, you could be a concept artist, character rigger, creative director, producer. There's a whole wide range of careers available in the games industry. It's quite great. I'm going to go over a few of these, and then I'll talk about some of the courses that we have at Ulster University to kind of cater to entry into the games industry. So the first one would be a programmer. I'm going to give you an overview of what a programmer does. They create the code for the game. So they make the systems in your game, like the artificial intelligence, the physics. They'll program in the game mechanics. They'll program in the visuals. They also make the tools for artists and designers to use, which are really important. So you might have used Unity or Unreal 4 or even GameMaker or Scratch. So a programmer would have to actually develop those tools for designers and artists to use. So they're really important, and probably the most important people in game development is a programmer. And they're quite highly paid as well because they're quite sought after. So an average salary for a programmer probably starts at around £27,000, and that's quite high in comparison to other careers. So next up would be a 3D artist. So 3D artist, a quite popular career to have in the games industry. So they create the 3D models, they create the texture, materials that go into a game as well. And they can also go into different specialist fields within that as well. So they can specialize in character, vehicle, environment, or become a tech artist, because games development has become quite big. When I started off, you know, we probably had teams of 20 to 40 people. But now, if you're looking at a AAA game, you're probably looking at maybe upwards of 500 people working on a game. So, you know, quite a jump there. So what they tend to do in big games and AAA studios, such as Naughty Dog here, is they allow people to specialize into certain areas. So you wouldn't be just a 3D artist, you'd be a character artist, and that's what you would focus on mainly when you're developing a game. Next up would be an animator. So in essence, animation brings the game to life. Without animation, a game would be quite boring. An animator would animate characters, aspects of the environment, particle effects, and vehicles as well. They also go into creating rigs for the game, which are really important. So that's kind of like this underlying skeletal mesh that kind of drives animation, especially in characters. And they also kind of work in motion capture as well. So motion capture is a big aspect in games at the minute, helps speed up the animation process. Initially, it was just full body, motion capture without any facial, but now a lot of games are moving into facial motion capture as well. So where you work with actors on a live set, and they drive the animation for you, and the animator then kind of cleans up, as they say, some of the animations that kind of come from the motion capture. So really interesting career to have, and you can kind of go into many different areas again. Another area that you can go into is concept art. So if you find that you're really good at art and you're really creative, and you find that you really want to come up with ideas for characters, environments, vehicles, or aspects of worlds, concept art probably would interest you. So yeah, they create concepts for like main characters, the environments that you'd be playing in the game, the vehicles, and they kind of set up the initial look for the game. So they would be part of the core team that would be initially developing an idea for a game, because along with developing an idea for a game, you want to find the art style that kind of fit in with the themes. So concept artist is really, really important for that. Up next would be the UI UX. So this is user interface and user experience. So a big role they have now in games is to kind of work on designing and implementing menu systems, player HUDs, inventory screens. These are really important aspects of game development, and something that maybe didn't go very well noticed up until the last 10 years, but super important for gameplay aspects. And a lot of studios now are specializing or have specialist teams that kind of focus on user interface and UX. So heads-up display would be, if you're playing a game like Fortnite, anything that you see on the screen that's delivering information, such as your health, map, weapon types, you know, how much ammo that you might have, that there would be all contained in the HUD. But also you notice, like if you're playing a game like Fortnite, you'll have like a whole heap of menus and systems that you can kind of go through to, you know, make unique characters or play different game types of modes. So they all have to be developed by a UI and UX team. A lot of people, when they first go into the games industry as designers, start off as QA testers. QA is quality assurance testing, and it's really important to have in a game. Otherwise, you might end up with a game that's filled with bugs. If you've ever played like Skyrim or Oblivion or the Fallout series, you kind of notice that there's a lot of bugs in those games, and maybe, you know, that studio doesn't pay attention as much as they should do. But yeah, QA testers find the bugs in games, and they kind of report back to designers and programmers and team leads on the bugs that they found, and they suggest improvements for the game as well. So it's a really important role to have. And it's a really good way of starting off in the games industry, because it gives you a grasp of many aspects and many careers that you can find in the games industry, because you're talking to many team members, like programmers, producers, directors, 3D artists, and designers. And so you kind of find out what they do in their job role, and it kind of gives you an idea of maybe what you want to do after you leave QA testing. Finally, what we have is designer. So in essence, designer finds the fun in the game. So creates game ideas, puzzles, game mechanics, player abilities, and they get to prototype many aspects of the game. So maybe about 10, 15 years ago, to be a designer, you could get away with drawing up paper concepts of games, but today you really have to have a good understanding of game engines such as Unreal 4 or Unity, where you have a bit of scripting and you prototype aspects of the game mechanics that you want to develop further. So for instance, Sea of Thieves, developed by Rareware over in England, they initially developed prototypes in the design team using Unity. And you can see in this picture here, it didn't look great, but it functioned the way they wanted to function. And then they brought that game idea over to Unreal 4 with the programmers and the artists and other members of the team to kind of develop a more professional looking game. So that a designer is really important in overall game, because you might have a game with a programmer that looks pretty and animates well, but you know, if you don't have a designer in there, it probably isn't going to play that great. So the courses that we offer here at Ulster University, So we have a bachelor degree in game design and animation, but we also have a master's degree in game design and animation as well. I'm kind of going to just focus on the bachelor, BDes, game design and animation, kind of go through some of the modules. So for the game design, in the first year, you learn about game design theory. You also learn about light gameplay scripting in Unreal or Unity. And you also learn about game studies, so basically the history of game design and game development. In the second semester, then you learn about game prototyping. So you take a game idea that you developed in the first semester and you prototype that in the second semester. Alongside that, you also develop skills in 3D development. So game asset production will take you through how to use Maya, Substance Designer, and how to implement models into a game. In the second year, we have this massive module called Untitled. So this is a massive group project where you're not just working with people on your course, but you're going to be working with people in the animation course. You're also going to be working with people in graphic design and other areas such as sound design in McGee. And you're all going to be working in a team to develop a game. Also in the second year, you're going to be learning about level design theory and implementation. So you get to develop and implement level designs based on a game idea that you've had. Second semester then is looking at mobile and VR game development. So we're going to have an interactive suite in the Belfast campus where you're going to be able to use VR equipment and develop games for that. We also learn about user interface design for games. So it's saying, you know, main menus, HUD design, really important. And a lot of studios are looking for people in that area. So you kind of learn about the theory, but also how to implement and design and develop user interfaces for games using software like Unreal 4 or Unity. Third year is our preparation for industry and further study if you wish. So we have a theory-based module called the dissertation. So this is where you look into a certain aspect of game design theory and you write a report on that. After which you do the game design project. So this is a massive full year project. So it's over semester 1 and 2. And you basically develop a game or going into a certain aspect of game design, such as UI or level design, and you develop that project for over a year. Alongside that, we have game studio development. So this is where we take you through on how to develop a studio for games. And we're going to be working closely with NI Screen and the Pixel Mill on that. So there's some exciting news coming up in terms of like placement for students. Between the second and final year, we also have placement for students. So you have an opportunity to go into the games industry for a year, working alongside, you know, other designers, other 3D artists, other animators, developing a game and upping your skills before you come into the final year. So some of the roles that we prepare you for in the course, so game designer, technical game designer, UI, narrative designer, 3D model, game producer, systems designer. So quite a few roles that you could move into after the course. The animation course, we look at in the first year, the world of animation. So this is basically looking at how animation has developed over the years. We look at animation studios, and we look at 3D digital literacy. So again, this is building up your 3D modeling skills. And then we look at animated narratives, so how animation is structured in a story sense. And then you get to develop your own animation in that. Second year, specialization again, so animation discourse. This is more academic unit or module, so you're looking at the animation theory. Animation strategies is a group project, so you're working within a team to develop an animation, but you can also work towards developing animations for games, so character animations if you wish. Animation for creative industries is looking at animation outside of typical movies and TV shows and kind of maybe more for VR and augmented reality. And then professional practice is a module where we kind of give you skills in preparing you for placement. So how you search for jobs, how you develop portfolios, how you develop CVs, cover letters, that type of thing. And then the final year is preparation for industry or further study. So again, we have a dissertation or report. We have creative futures, and then we have your major project. So again, this is where you, as an individual or in a team, develop an animation or an aspect of animation. So that course prepares you for being a character animator, concept artist, modeler, storyboard artist, character rigger, games animator, technical director, or visual FX artist. So quite a few careers that you could move into after that. So I'm just wondering, does anybody have any questions on that so far in terms of careers or the courses that we offer?
Okay, guys, and also just there's a Q&A function just within Zoom. So if you don't want to be saying it, just use that, type in, and Brian himself will be able to see that.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to come back to you. So as I say, just feel free to use the Q&A function within Zoom and post anything at all that pops into your head.
I did not know that, Michael, but that is very handy.
No worries.
So somebody's just asked, John Wallace, where do students go on their placements? So for animation, quite a few stay in Northern Ireland for the placements. Belfast especially has a lot of studios. So Flickr Picks take on a few of our students. We work with NI Screen, and they fund up to, I think, 8 places per year. So what they'll do is they'll go to a studio and they will say to them, look, if you take a student on from Ulster University, we'll pay half their wages for the year and you pay the other half. So I would say 90% stay in Northern Ireland for the placement, and then the other 10% either go to the rest of the UK or Ireland or international. For games, this is the first year that we're running the course, September. So we're going to be looking at the studios in Northern Ireland again alongside NI Screen to kind of fund the placements for the students. How much does the course cost? So I think it varies depending on where you're from. If you're from Northern Ireland, I think it's £4,000 per year. Michael, you might be able to.
Sorry, Brian. Yeah, I just come in. So it's fees for tuition fees for current NI students are £4,390 per year, and that's then obviously any international costs would be more than that, but that's the fees at present.
And they're all paid through student loans?
Student finance NI.
So Jonathan Hollins asked, how many hours of teaching would I expect to undertake per week? So you'd be expected to be in university at least 2 days per week. So you're talking about maybe 16 hours of teaching time or contact time with lectures. But then we do expect you to do another 16 hours at least per week of self-study. So that's either working on project reports or any other aspect of the course. So the new course, I'm guessing that's a game design course. Somebody's asking, any particular A-level subjects required? BTech level 3. So for the games design course, no, we're not looking for any specific modules or courses that you've done before at level 3. Like we do ask for a portfolio of work. So that might be like having maybe a prototype of a game, maybe some 3D modeling, some concept artwork, even graphic design work, game design documents, or even if you have like an online blog where you're talking about games, writing about game mechanics, anything like that there would be fine for entry requirements, but we're not looking for any particular A-level subjects. So would you say there are good job opportunities for game graduates in NA? I'd say yes, Colleen, there are, and they're improving rapidly. So I mentioned there that Hightail were recently bought by Riot Games, so they're a massive studio. This is probably the biggest investment Northern Ireland's had in the games industry. So they're opening up a new office in Derry, I think this month, and they're already hiring about 10 or 20 extra people for that office in various different roles. On top of that there, we have another studio called Italic Pig. They've had what was the biggest investment about 2 months ago for games in Northern Ireland for their game Paleo Pines. And they ramped up from 15 to something like 40 people in their studio, quite a bit. We also have some probably major news coming in the next few months of another studio setting up in Northern Ireland. But in other aspects, like there's probably about 20 smaller studios in Northern Ireland that will be expanding in the next few years. And then in the island of Ireland, again, that's probably a bit bigger. And then in the rest of the UK, it's absolutely massive. So what subjects would be useful GCSE, A-level, BTEC for game courses, and why? If you're doing a BTEC, there are BTECs in game development. I know like quite a few colleges around Northern Ireland do those. They're quite good because they give you a good basis in terms of like scripting within Unreal or Unity, which a lot of the game design course kind of revolves around, because you're going to be making a lot of prototypes of games. But you know, if you're not in those kind of courses, it's very easy to download the software because it's free, and they find tutorials for free on YouTube that can kind of guide you through the basics and get you to where you should be on the course. In terms of GCSE or A level, like again, we're not looking for any particular subjects when you join the course, but you know, if you were to pick any, like anything in IT, media, or art and design, would be fine. So any particular subjects that would be helpful for animation? Yes, anything in art or moving images or digital technology would be perfect for that course. Again, they look for a portfolio to see if a person has this certain criteria for art or graphic design or moving images. If I haven't answered your question, just ask away again.
Okay, Brian, there's another one in there. Just what sort of things would you be looking for in a portfolio?
So for animation, it's if you have any animation, great, put that in there. If you're doing an art-based course, you want to see that. With the art side of things on the animation, though, it would be more like, you know, character development, or if you have any life drawing skills, that would be excellent to put in your portfolio. For game design, what we're looking for is quite broad, because game design is kind of encompassing technical aspects and creative. So if you have any like programming knowledge, you could talk about that and put it in a Word document, that's fine. If you've done any programming and you've created a game or you've created an app, you know, you could link us to a video for that, or you could link us to the actual game. What I could do actually is, if you go onto the website for games and animation, we do have a list of requirements on what we're looking for on there. Or you can see my email. If you want to get that list, I can send it out to you as well. So it's just b.coyle@ulster.ac.uk. So somebody's asking, is it difficult to secure your first job in these industries? It just depends on your level. You know, if you work really well at university, I see no problem in gaining a career in either games industry or the animation. Like the animation course has been running the last 5 or 6 years, and their graduate employment rate is really high. So I would say that, you know, maybe 70 to 80% of the graduates find a job within the animation industry in Northern Ireland within the first 6 months. It's really high. How many places are on the degree course? So for the games, because of demand, we actually had to move from 25 places up to 50 for the first year. And for the animation course, I think it hovers around 40 to 50 places per year as well. So what kind of personal qualities and skills would be needed for jobs in these industries. Because games and animation is quite collaborative, and you're going to be working in large teams, having really good communication skills are key, and that's one of the things that employers look out for. So that's not just in terms of giving presentations, but also like how you talk about your work, how you accept feedback and work on that, and then present that work again. So I would say communication is really key for both industries, along with professional skills and other soft skills. But communication would be definitely one of the key ones that I would look out for. So pay for both, as I was saying before, programming in the games industry is probably the most sought after career for employers. So they get a bit paid a bit higher, which is around 26 to 27,000 per year, just as an entry salary. And then other design roles would probably start off at 18 to 19,000 per year, but you quickly move up that. So like I know people that have been in the industry now, and they're earning upwards of £40,000, and they've only been in it 3 or 4 years. So you do go up the pay scale quite quick, especially if you're very good at your job.
Okay, Brian, do you want to just go through the future, the webinars and the open days slides there, and then see if any more questions come in while we're going through that?
Yeah, no problem. There's just few more questions. I'm just going to.
Okay, yes, buddy. Yeah, perfect.
Ask or answer. Sorry. Is it hard to get into the animation course? I was saying we've got about 45 places, say per year. We probably have around 120 applications per year. So it just depends on how good your portfolio is at the end of the day. So if your portfolio is good, you're probably going to get a place on the animation course. Is it easy for graduates to move into other areas of IT or design? I'm trying to think of the context of that question. So is that moving from game design to IT or IT to design? I would say it is in some regards, but you would probably have to have some sort of bridge there in terms of skills. So if you're moving from design to IT, you're probably very good with computers, but you might not know the systems that IT use. So you'd have to learn those, and vice versa. So IT, you'd be very comfortable with computers again, but you might just have to learn some of the software and some extra skills that would help you with the game design process. Where would a school student get work experience in game design? I'm not entirely sure where schools would get work experience. What I would suggest is that there's quite a good modding scene online for games, where people download a game but also like modify it. And you find that a lot of teams do that like internationally, so you kind of work in remote mod in this game. I think that's a really good way of getting some experience in game design. Other than that, I would say you could start making games at home yourself. You can start researching into some of the software, looking at YouTube tutorials to kind of gain some skills in some scripting. That's what I would do. I'm not entirely sure if studios in Northern Ireland will be taking on school children for experience. So last question is the foundation year in art a good entry route into courses like animation? Yes, it is. So if you apply for the games design course, or if you apply for the animation course, I would also apply for the foundation year, just in case you didn't get into either the animation or game design course. Foundation year is an extra year at university, but you're going to be working, if you want to go into games, with myself, or if you're going into animation with Ali Parkin, who's a senior lecturer in animation there. And you can kind of make the foundation year into what you want. So you can pick a particular route. So if you want to do game design, you might at the start have to do some animation, maybe some art and graphic design. But in the second semester, then you can choose classes in game design. So yeah, I would say it's a very good route into animation or game design courses. Just seeing if there's any more questions. I'll move on, and then if there are any more questions, I'll come back to them at the end of this. So we are going to have more webinars coming up. You can check the website ulster.ac.uk/events. I think Michael will be updating that in the next coming days. We're also going to be having open days. I'm not sure the particular dates on those.
Just on the next slide there, Brian.
Oh, okay.
That's us.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to have open days in Jordanstown on the Thursday, 3rd of September, Friday, the 4th of September, on the McGee campus on the 18th of September, and the Coleraine on the 25th of September. You can also get in touch with us. So we have some phone numbers here for the Coleraine, Jordanstown, McGee campuses. If you want to talk about admissions, we got admissions@ulster.ac.uk. Course inquiries, study at ulster.ac.uk. And you can chat to our students' unique body. I'm not entirely sure what unique body is. Maybe you can.
Yeah, so it's just current students here with us, and so it's all manned by our existing students. So anything, whenever you go to the website, we pop-up comes up, and it'll be a student, a unibody student who's on at that time. And then so if a student maybe had anything in particular they were wanting to know from a student perspective, then they can come back to them and give them a good insight into the university, into their course or stuff like that.
Excellent. That's really good.
Right.
If anybody wanted to contact me directly about animation or game courses as well, my email is b.coyle@ulster.ac.uk. Okay, so if you do have any other questions, you can ask away again.
Yeah, and I'll just come in. Sorry, my name's Michael McCamley, work in student recruitment at Ulster University. And just as Brian had highlighted, there are the few dates for the open days. At the minute, it'll be your school that'll be registering to attend those various days. And then coming towards into May, into June, then we put those dates out for individuals to register. So you as a student, you would then register to attend on that, whatever day your school's going. Say it was the Thursday at Jordanstown. Then you'll register to attend that day, and then on that day there'll be a series of talks that take place, and you'll then be able to register for those various talks, and it'll cover all the subject areas. So it does give you a good insight, especially that by that stage you could be in the second year of your BTEC, or you could be starting your year 14 studies, and it just then gives you good insight when you're starting to make your choices on your UCAS form about the courses, what we offer, why you would choose one over another, things like that. So as I say, they're definitely worthwhile attending. Most of your schools will be coming along. Some of them will be bringing you there by bus. Some of them, if you're a bit closer, will just ask you to organise yourselves to get there. But as I say, your school will be aware of all those dates at the minute, and they'll be registering to attend.
Somebody was asking there, Michael, when is the Belfast campus open day?
Yep, I do have the date for that. Just give me 1 sec. So it's Saturday the 5th of September. So that's just a family day, so your school won't be bringing you to that. That's Saturday the 5th. So as I say, that's just a family day. So the other days, they're for the schools to bring along, and then that one there is just in the Belfast campus. So again, Brian will be involved in that. There'll be talks on those days in terms of the games design, the animation, the fine art, everything that basically goes on down at the Belfast campus. Then there'll be a series of talks taking place on those days as well.
The animation and game design course are based in the Belfast campus.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think there might be, there's no more questions. I think that
No,
might be it.
no, that might be it. So, guys, if you have, just stay on there and say that is the end of Brian's webinar for today. He is scheduled to do another one, and that's taking place next week. So again, any friends maybe that you think might be interested in the course, by all means, get them to go to the website there. They'll register for that webinar. And as Brian was mentioning, there's a series of webinars taking place. There'll be many more to come. Across a range of subjects that the university offers. So by all means, do keep an eye on the website. They'll be advertised there. And then again, you'll just register and then you'll get the link and then come along on that and log on that particular day. All right, guys. So I say just if you're sorted and you're happy enough, then that's the end of the presentation. If you're staying on, then you can just post questions there to Brian. He can stay on for another 5 minutes or so and answer them. And yeah, that'll be us. Okay, guys. So thanks very much for listening and taking part and answering so many great questions about the course and your interest in that area. And for the meantime, just obviously stay in and stay safe. But for the longer term, good luck in all your studies, whatever it is you're doing, BTECs, A-levels, whatever it is. Best of luck in all your studies, and we hope to see you at Ulster University in the very near future.
Yeah, thanks very much for joining us, everyone, and look forward to answering any questions that you might have. So somebody's just asked there, is there anything that sets Ulster University apart in their animation course? I think the main thing that sets Ulster University apart is, well, there's probably two things. I think the amount of students that get into placement after their second year is significant. I've worked at a few university institutions, and I think it's quite high. We typically get 80% of our students after their second year into some form of placement in animation or other kind of creative industry. I think that's probably the main thing that probably sets the animation course apart from any other institution. And I think that's a major thing as well, because once you have that in your CV, that you've worked on actual live animations, you're kind of a step above the rest in terms of experience.